Old Country Buffet has been an American strip mall staple for years. But despite the promise of delicious cheese biscuits awaiting you behind those ubiquitous red letters, Old Country Buffet has definitely had some setbacks. And we're not just talking about broken froyo machines at the lunch rush. In 2006, Old Country Buffet's parent company merged with Ryan's Restaurant Group to create the country's largest buffet chain. But it turned out their eyes were bigger than their stomach. Just 2 years later, Old Country Buffet declared bankruptcy, leading to the closure of many of their locations.
Nothing's on the menu tonight at one of 4 Old Country Buffet restaurants in the Valley.
Its parent company shut it down suddenly this week.
It wasn't enough. In 2012, they declared bankruptcy again and were forced to close more restaurants in an attempt to right the ship. But the ship sank anyway, as the chain declared bankruptcy yet again in 2016. By February 2019, the official Old Country Buffet website listed just 17 open locations, compared to a peak of more than 350 less than a decade ago.
Old Country Buffet was forced to close 90 stores nationwide. That company is set to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
So why did Old Country Buffet suddenly drop off a cliff? The basic answer is that tastes have changed. First, fast casual dining is in, and while it's hard to imagine a dining experience faster and more casual than a buffet, the notion of fast casual has become associated with chains like Qdoba and Sweetgreen, which are more upscale and modern. Second, those places also tend to offer options that are healthier. Though it's possible to find healthy options at a buffet, it also just feels pointless. You go to a buffet because it's all you can eat, but if you aren't planning on eating that much, what's the point? You might as well go somewhere that prioritizes quality over quantity. And along those lines is the third factor, which is the farm-to-table craze. Supplying a chain with bulk ingredients is difficult enough to do. Trying to make sure those ingredients come from sustainable local farms is difficult. Yet for environmentally conscious consumers, that's a growing consideration. Finally, more and more folks are choosing to stay home and enjoy a little Netflix and chill rather than dine out. That's providing a boom for restaurants that deliver or offer takeout. But you can't really do either of those things with a buffet, meaning Old Country Buffets might just be on the wrong side of history. Buffets have always been a family favorite for after church, so it makes sense that with the decline of church attendance in the U.S. follows the decline of buffet frequenting. But with more families opting to sleep in on Sunday mornings, it's probable they're just eating lunch at home. According to Gallup polling, the 42% of adults polled said they attended church in 2008. By 2017, another poll indicated that the rate of weekly church attendance was down to 38%. 4% may not sound like that, but it's 10 million adults no longer attending church, which means they're no longer dragging their kids with them to Old Country Buffet for post-sermon loaves and fishes. Beyond all the specific reasons people are avoiding buffets, there's an even simpler explanation. Everyone knows buffets are gross.
This doesn't look like a chicken.
Oh, you're right. This isn't chicken. This is chicken. Want some?
In today's increasingly health-conscious world, many diners are wary of eating food that was prepared sometime and has been sitting out in bins for some time. Communal food troughs are fine for animals, but for people, it's a recipe for illness. Who knows who else has touched that food? And the more educated people get about healthy eating, the less they want to go to a buffet. Plus, even when the food is fresh, it's not necessarily the best. Buffets are places that, as a rule, specialize in nothing and offer everything. But do you really want that when you're picking a restaurant? Or do you want to go to the place that is known for being great at making that one thing you're really craving? Yeah, that's what we thought.
I'll have what I'm having! I'll have what I'm having!
Contributing to Old Country Buffet's many woes was the case of Chris Gage. In 2010, Gage and his wife ate at an Old Country Buffet in Wyoming. 2 days later, Chris experienced renal failure and septic shock. He had to undergo multiple surgeries as well as a 2-week hospital stay, but even 5 years later, he was still suffering chronic pain. The cause? Salmonella from undercooked chicken. What's worse, just a month earlier, the restaurant had been fined by the government for 18 health violations due to customers reporting sickness. The Gages sued Old Country Buffet. The chain's lawyers didn't even bother coming to the hearing. Even they apparently knew a lost cause when they saw it. In their absence, the judge chose to award the Gages $11.37 million. Money and publicity the chain really couldn't afford. Finally, after all of that, if someone still wants to go to the buffet, it turns out there's simply a more popular option: Golden Corral. Boasting more stable ownership, Golden Corral actually expanded in 2017, opening 7 new locations to go along with a 3.7% jump in sales. They've also modernized their locations with the recent redesign, which may help explain why Golden Corral is roping in all the buffet fans left in the lurch as Old Country Buffets shut down around the nation. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more MASH videos about buffets are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.